Hello everyone and welcome to What Culture Gaming. I'm Josh, joined by the Wolfman himself, Richard Hudson.
Wow,
Richard Hudson.
Wow,
because we're talking about
full name terms.
business today because Call of Duty 2020 is apparently in turmoil. We know that it's gaming's worst kept secret ever that this year's 2019's Call of Duty is going to be Modern Warfare 4, but after that we'd always assumed that it was going to be Sledgehammer's next game as these games have worked on a 3-year cycle, but apparently, Rich, that is all just completely dust now.
No,
what's happened here?
Everything's broken. It's interesting to think, first off, that we haven't even had the confirmation of what Call of Duty 2019 yet is, and we're already looking at 2020 because everything's gone to hell. So basically, in case you don't know, as Josh has said, Call of Duty's been in a 3-year development cycle with 3 different studios for the past, what, like 6-7 games?
Yeah, since
like Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3, and then it was Advanced Warfare or something like that.
I don't know.
Basically, Sledgehammer Games, who are one of Activision's subsidiaries, worked on Modern Warfare 3 alongside Raven and Infinity Ward, and eventually Activision went, here you go, have the reins, and they did Advanced Warfare, which is the one with Kevin Spacey. I don't know why, I thought, hey, is his name Kevin? My mind just went blank. They did that, and then they did Call of Duty World War 2 2 years ago, and they were both very good games. They were really good games, so giving a smaller, what was originally a support studio, the reins, turned out really well. So in that sort of sequence of developers, Infinity Ward, Treyarch, Sledgehammer, next year was going to be Sledgehammer's go once again, but Raven Software, who are the developers of the not the original Wolfenstein, the old Wolfenstein game from like 2009, they did a bunch of other stuff. They have been a support studio on Call of Duty for years now. They did, they helped Modern Warfare 3, they did the Zombies mode for World War 2, they did all sorts of bits and pieces. But apparently next year, Sledgehammer and Raven were going to do a game together as both the primary developers of the game. And all of that has gone into turmoil. These studios have been at each other's throats this whole time. So Activision swooped in and went, okay, both of you are going to be support. Treyarch are back here.
Black Ops 5, like that's what it's going to be.
5.
Which is, it's crazy. That's such a monumental thing. Like we thought, we were talking in the podcast last week, plug, how good Activision were doing with this franchise and how they were diversifying their brand. They were giving each studio 3 years to work on the games.
And specifically about how Sledgehammer did a really good job with World War 2, and now suddenly they're not going to be making their own game anymore.
Well, this is what baffled me when I was reading the report at first, because Kotaku's done a really good write-up on this, in that they said, obviously, they gave the reins to Raven, or at least joint with Sledgehammer, and we were kind of like, why? I mean, they deserve it, but why would you ruin a bad thing when Sledgehammer have been doing so well? And that's apparently because a couple of years ago the 2 co-founders left to make their own studio and get new jobs, and apparently Sledgehammer themselves have been hemorrhaging employees ever since, so they're kind of a shell of what they were, which I guess made Activision go, right, you physically do not have enough manpower to make this game, especially in the time frame we want, so Raven, you can come in and help them out.
I mean, I can see why Activision did like get very scared and decided to throw in more people at it, because this happened back in 2013 with Modern Warfare 3.
Yes.
Or 20, or just up to 2013, because obviously Infinity Ward also hemorrhaged a bunch of people. They often went and made Respawn, who are just a little studio, done a couple of small things. And Infinity Ward is a whole new kettle of fish now. It's the whole, if you replace the handle and the brush of a mop and the broom is the same broom. That's kind of happened again. So it's kind of, I can understand why Activision have gone, oh god, this is happening again. Let's throw Treyarch at it, because at the moment they are, I say in a critical sense, they are one of the most solid developers on Call of Duty right now. Infinity Ward have got some making up to do this year.
Yes, they do.
Because their track record hasn't been very good.
They haven't, but it finally feels like they've got their stuff together. Can't say the other word I was thinking of there. Since I thought Infinite Warfare was quite good. The campaign especially was really solid. It obviously, like we said before, it's an open secret that the next game is going to be Modern Warfare 4. And Activision themselves at their last conference call was saying about how good it was shaping up to be. Apparently everyone's so enthusiastic about it. Apparently it's in a better stage than most of their Call of Duties are at that point. This was a couple of months ago. So that seems to be locked in. That's going to be a good game. Hopefully, and that Infinity Ward have pulled themselves around, but it's so interesting to see the same thing that dogged their studio for years happening to Sledgehammer now.
And they only did 2 games, whereas Infinity Ward had done about 5 or 6 Call of Duties up to this point. But the thing is to take from this as well is Treyarch, who obviously they're still supporting Black Ops 4 because that is the current Call of Duty game. They're still putting out the new weapons, the new maps, all that sort of thing. We're still waiting on 2 more Zombies maps. So they're still worrying about that. And yet now they've said, okay, by the way, you're now doing the next game, but you've got now probably less than 2 years. I'd say they must have been in like pre-production, if not maybe some-ish production of their next game, which would have been 2021 if everything went as normal. And now they've got a year less to turn that game around and ship it. But they do have obviously Sledgehammer and Raven behind them for this. But but that doesn't make it any easier because Treyarch have been living with this 3-year development cycle for their past two games, Black Ops 3 and 4. So now that 5 or whatever it may be is going to be a quick turnaround, this might not go down very well.
No, this is the frustrating, because apparently the past 2 games they've made have had quite fractured development processes. There've been a lot of issues, so now to get this news that they're going to have to ship Black Ops 5 next year is probably, you know, crazy. And apparently there are some reports from people in the studio being very disgruntled by this decision.
Yep.
I don't blame them. But what's interesting is that apparently Raven and Sledgehammer are still on for support, obviously, because, you know, you can't just suddenly cram a 3-year dev cycle into a 2-year one.
Yep.
But the work that they were creating a single player campaign for their unannounced game, which was a Cold War single player story, and apparently that's getting siphoned off and they're going to finish that, and that's going to be part of Black Ops 5.
But that's okay because Cold War, Vietnam, stuff like that works. Was all part of the Black Ops canon back in the first and the second game. So we're going back to what we had before, which is what a lot of us predicted with Black Ops 4, down to literally the typeface being the same as Black Ops 1. So we thought we were going back there for this game, but we're going to go supposedly back there for the next game. But the thing about this is, obviously, with both Raven and Sledgehammer at the top, still bickering at each other, they're still working on this.
I know.
So they're still going to be bickering while Treyarch are at the top. The angry parent tapping their foot, going, for God's sake, you two, just
that's kind
put
of what
your differences aside and make the game.
Yeah, just make this single player. My God, maybe we'll let you make a game in the future. I have one big question for you, Rich. As the Black Ops guy, at what point do we get diminishing returns on this series? Because Black Ops 4 still sold really well. A lot of people liked it, but it sold less than Black Ops 3. And apparently Activision were disappointed in the back end of that. Apparently it didn't have quite the longevity.
I think the player base has also dwindled a bit. I'm not entirely sure, but it's not stayed in the public consciousness. Kind of like World War II. World War II died off pretty quickly, even though it was a very solid Call of Duty game. I think the series itself, as much as we were saying on the podcast plug, that it's become a very diverse thing when each developer was allowed to do their own thing, not anymore. But the series as a whole is starting to sort of lose interest in people. Like when you go back to the golden era, Call of Duty was literally everything anyone would talk about for the whole year.
Yeah.
And then the new one would come out and then it would just happen again. Nowadays, it's not really the case. So, I don't know. I'm kind of, when they said it's going to be Black Ops 5, I was like, I love the Black Ops series to bits, but it's like, really? It seems so boring to just do another Black Ops game, especially since 3 and 4 canonically just don't really fit in. They're just there for the brand.
Yes. And I think that's it. The Black Ops brand at the moment is the strongest surviving, you know, Call of Duty brand. So you can see why Activision would want to bring them in and just be like, right, give us something we can bank on. But if I was Treyarch, after creating 5 now Black Ops games, where is their new vision? Everyone else, every other studio has had the chance to make something new. We've had Advanced Warfare, we've had Infinite Warfare, we've had World War II, we've had Ghosts, all these franchises. Yeah, they failed to get off the ground, but...
Which is one of the reasons why I think if it is confirmed as, again, open secret, Modern Warfare 4, it makes sense for Infinity Ward to go back on a bankable thing because, like I said, they need to get their track record back on the straight and narrow. And Modern Warfare is the best way for them to do it because obviously the Modern Warfare remaster didn't really do that because of how they shipped it to people back then. But yeah, it's weird. I kind of would like Treyarch to do something different. Maybe keep it within the Black Ops universe because the only game that Treyarch have done that wasn't in the Black Ops universe was COD 3, which was their first one. Because World at War is technically Black Ops 0, as it were. Yeah. So it'd be interesting to have something within that canon, and I would like it to actually tie back into the canon campaign-wise. More so than Black Ops 3 did, because Black Ops 3's tie into the canon, I think one person said Menendez at one point in the whole campaign, and that was it. And it's like, well, I'd like them to go, again, if it's going to go back and take place between Black Ops 1 and 2, which is what we thought was going to happen with Black Ops 4, then I'm down for that.
Me too.
I miss having the campaign. We talked about this in the podcast. I miss having the campaign.
I love the campaigns. I wonder how much they can actually do that, considering it's what they started with Sledgehammer and Raven. I wonder how much they can retrofit that to be a proper Black Ops story. I hope they do it well. And for me, I hope this is the final Black Ops for a while. Like you said, I'd like Infinity Ward to come back and they can take off the reins of the bankable franchise in Modern Warfare and give Treyarch something new to do. What I'm worried about is how this is going to affect Call of Duty in the future. Because although this is going to hit 2020's Call of Duty pretty substantially, it's going to hit the other ones even more so. Because I mean, next year's would have been Sledgehammer's, then the year after that would have been Treyarch's, and then after that would have been Infinity Ward again. So does that mean Infinity Ward are going to have to scramble to create a sequel to Modern Warfare 4? A game that isn't even out for 2 years' time. It's
that must be horrifying for them to think, okay, now we're back on the reins for 2021, and we've had our mindset on 2022 for the past God knows how many years, because I don't know how far ahead they do plan their games. I'm assuming it's quite a significant time. With that kind of like development period, it's not very long. So that's unless Activision turn around and either purchase a new studio to help do it, or they get a bunch of other studios and they just sort of crush them all together, and they make a new third, like, first-party Call of Duty studio, because they do have a lot of studios, and we were saying just before we started filming that people like Toys for Bob, Beanox, Vicarious Visions, who did all the remasters, they're doing Crash Team Racing, Spyro, and the Insane Trilogy. They all just do the other stuff. They don't really have their own thing. I know Call of Duty wouldn't be their own thing, but if they got put together to do something like that, they maybe could pull into the studio out of their arse, as it were.
Maybe
either that, or they'll just turn around and go, okay, you've got like 6 different support studios, but Infinity Ward and Treyarch, you're back to a 2-year dev cycle. And if proper 3-year dev cycle for a Sledgehammer game scared off the studio,
I don't think that. I think that would be. All of those scenarios that you just said there have their definite negatives. I think the 2-year development cycle really hurt Call of Duty, and I think what we've seen now between Raven and Sledgehammer, when you just smash these studios together with no cohesive vision, it leads to arguments, it leads to breakdown in development. I think that will be. I'm a bit worried about the future of this franchise, I'm not going to lie. Even more so because Activision have also said, a little final note to this news, that they're pursuing free-to-play practices, which, long time coming. They've always been against them.
Unless that means, similar to what we assume will happen with Blackout, that it becomes a side thing, standalone, we're just going to get Call of Duty.
I guess we'll see in a few weeks' time. Modern Warfare 4 has to be announced at E3 by now, but the future is entirely up in the air. Who knows what the hell's going to happen with Black Ops 5, but I'm sure we'll know more in the months to come. Let us know what you think down in the comments below. And as always, I have been Josh, joined by
Rich. I thought you were going to say my name there.
Thank
you for watching, everybody.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Rich.
Hey.